Alright guys, welcome back to Rome Reviews. I'm Rome and this is the Oppo Find X8. I finally had some time to spend with this device and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I have nothing but good stuff to say about it. I like the design, even though it does give me iPhone vibes. Outside of the camera design, the camera module design, it does give me heavy iPhone vibes. But outside of that, I mean, even with that, not that the iPhone design bothers me at all, but I do like these brush rails right here. You can see the texture there. Looks really nice. Even this black design, I actually have grown fond of it. First, I thought it was like really basic because I really don't care for black phones. I really like different color phones. Like I have my Pixel here, and I have a bunch of different white phones here. I have the Xiaomi black and white. I try to go for the more unique color devices, but anyway, moving forward, this device has been really good. So anyway, we're just gonna jump right into it. So first things first, I had set this up and I've daily driven it for the past few days, and I'll say the battery life has been amazing. Just for example, I'm at 83% right now. I took this phone off the charger yesterday and I've been doom scrolling on social media and moving things around, setting up the phone more and more, cleaning up apps, uninstalling apps, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, this phone has been great. So, right here, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's slow down a little bit and we're really back in. So, outside of the color, you see you have your power button here. There is no fingerprint reader in the power button, which I actually have grown to really like having my fingerprint in the screen. The volume rocker up and down, and then you have your alert slider here, which I really love on these devices. Vibrate. You have your sound on, alerts on, vibrate, silent. I love those sliders. Makes it so easy to put the phone in silent or whatever. If you have to jump into a meeting or something or you're at work, really love that. It does have reverse wireless charging. Let me confirm that before I lie to you guys, because sometimes I've been playing with so many phones lately that yeah, it does have reverse wireless charging, and I'm gonna say that that is 10-watt charging, which is fine. It's not like I'm charging a lot of devices on a regular anyway, so not a big deal. The camera modules are all 50 megapixels, I believe, which is really good because I want to say that these cameras are really consistent across the board. I've taken a few pictures on there and they are really good. They're consistent, which is what I prefer in my camera devices. Like sometimes, on some camera phones you'll get amazing shots and sometimes you'll get not so good shots. So I really have grown fond of just like having my camera system be consistent across the board, from the ultra wide to the periscope to the just regular wide module. So that's something that I've really grown to enjoy and appreciate. So, and I will say that that is what you get with this device. Now, there are some things on these cameras that I have become aware of recently with the macro shots, and I'll touch on that in a little bit, okay? So, moving forward, let's go ahead and jump into the OS. This is Color OS because this is the Chinese version of the phone. I actually don't know if they have a global version. I should have looked into that before I started this, but either way, it's fine. This is Color OS. It is I mean, I've really grown to enjoy it. Now that I'm more familiar with it, I have the Oppo Find N5 here, and I've really become really familiar with this OS. There are a lot of customization options here. As you can tell already, I have my icons in a particular shape, and I'll show you that really quickly. I won't spend any time on that because I've covered the color. I've covered Color OS in the Find N5 video, but you could change your shapes here. So you have like these designs here that come with the overall build of the phone, where you can just change the icons at a click of a button, but you can also do a custom configuration where you can change the shape. You can't change the Art Plus icons. Let me look and see what that is. So if you have, if I choose that material thing, it just changes the icons, but it doesn't apply to every icon. As you can tell, some of these are not even changing. So be aware of that. But anyway, you can change your foreground size, which is the actual like icon inside of the whole thing. And then you can change the icon size itself, like the entire size, which is, I mean, really great. You could adopt system colors, which I've done here, and you can show app names or not, and you can choose how big you want them to be. I mean, there are a lot of options just built in. I mean, even if you don't want to download, if you're one of those people like me that don't download icon packs and stuff like that, you're in good hands here. I mean, this they give you a lot of options just right out of the box, which is great. But anyway, moving forward, there has been no lag on this device whatsoever. I think this phone. Let's see what this phone is rocking before I misquote. This phone is rocking the MediaTek Dimensity 9400. I I have not run into it. I don't typically do benchmarks on my phones or whatever. I just see how the phone behaves. I open up a bunch of stuff. I have a bunch of apps running in the background at any given time. I want to swipe up and see what I got running right now. Yeah, so I have just a bunch of stuff just running, just constant. So, and I've noticed no lag whatsoever, and that is my day-to-day use. I'm not a heavy gamer, mobile gamer, although I have been playing Wuthering Waves quite a bit, just not on this phone yet. Just because I haven't tried, I just don't. I'll be honest with you guys. I just don't have the patience to download the app on this phone when I already have it set up on another phone, because it takes so long to download that game, and then it has to install updates, and then it has to install shaders. It just takes so long before you're actually able to play. So that's why I haven't installed it on this phone. But yes, as far as the OS goes, you get your typical wallpapers and things like that. You can do a lot of customization with the app folders and so on and so forth. Like you can see I have my vertical folders there. You can make large folders. Like if I drag this one onto the other screen, let's see. Come out of there, drag it onto the other screen. Now if I can either pinch or just long press. I can make that a large folder, and that way I can click directly into the icon itself. Like if I choose like this file, I could go directly into the app without having to open the folder first. So you have a lot of customization with ColorOS, which I've really grown to appreciate. So good stuff. Let's put that back small, move it back to where it was. And you can use your Google widgets with ColorOS. Just keep in mind that you have to, if you click on widgets, you have to scroll all the way to the bottom and then do your home screen widgets there. So, I mean, just really good stuff. And you can download themes and so on and so forth. Like, if I go into settings again, home screen, lock screen. Nope, nope, not home screen, lock screen. I don't know why I always do that. But more themes. And if you choose, I think you can go, well, here they are. Online themes here. Now, I will say that this is the part where, and I've said it on the Oppo Find N5 as well, this is where it gets really Chinese. So you can use your on-screen translator to translate the full screen, and it'll translate what you're seeing, and it'll help you through that process. Now, I will say that some of these apps, and I found that in the app stores, they will offer you a free app, but there's some work involved with getting that app in. Like sometimes they want you to download apps and have them installed for a few minutes or a few seconds. I'll say for a few seconds. And then they'll give you some coins or some type of currency to download the free app. But there is a process. It's not, sometimes, I mean, there is a process, it's not just free. So keep that in mind. So I just want to go through the OS really quickly because I mean it's just basic stuff mostly. So if there's anything on the OS that you want me to cover specifically, I will do that. Now I will say that since this is the Chinese version of the phone, you I'm still working on it, but as far as I've been able to understand, you cannot get Wear OS watches, smart watches, to work with this phone yet. I haven't figured out a way. I'm still digging because there are videos online about Wear OS and how to get your Samsung watches working with Chinese phones. But I'm still trying to tweak that process to get it to work with other Chinese phones outside of like Vivo I think Vivo is the one that they have it working on for Samsung watches, but also not just that. I'm not just trying to get it to work for Samsung watches, but the Pixel Watch works with uses Wear OS as well to connect to the phone. So still working through that process, and I hope I get it fixed. Sometimes I feel close, and then sometimes I feel far away. But anyway, back. But your earbuds and your stuff like that will work just as long as it does not rely on Wear OS to connect to your phone. But anyway, moving forward, got Wear OS done. But yeah, as far as OS goes, you can use your widgets and you can resize them. Like some you can't, resize them. But like my turntable widget I have, you could resize them. So you have a lot of freedom with it when it comes to ColorOS, which I really love. Now, I know that people typically ask me about, is there Chinese anywhere outside of the Chinese apps and stuff like that? Now, what I'll say is, you'll see how it wants me to set up my account here. That is for like a bunch of services that it offers. Well, see, like it just prompted me. I've actually avoided this section for a while. Update no our new file. So you have account center, and you see it has Chinese there and blah blah. I'm not gonna do anything with it right now. I'm coming out of there. Actually, let me make sure nothing crazy showed them, no information. But yeah, yeah. So there is Chinese in certain things that rely on like the native apps on the phone or whatever. But outside of that, once you download the Google Play Store and you set up your apps, you won't really notice it unless you try to trigger your AI. You see that comes up Chinese, and it's called Brino on this phone. But there are certain apps that are just native on the device. Like if I go to Wallet and Payment, you see it that's in Chinese because that's the native app. But if you download Google Wallet, I won't open it because I would just basically have to blur my whole screen. But if you go to Google Wallet, it's not in Chinese. So any apps that you download from the Play Store, you'll be fine. You won't have any issues. Like I said, I showed you earlier with themes. If you go to the online store to download more themes, it'll be Chinese. But as far as the phone goes itself, you will be fine. And once you download your Google apps or whatever, so you're fine. As long as they're not Chinese based or whatever. Like this screen right here, I don't use this, and I typically turn it off just to save battery or whatever, just so it's just not running in the background. But you see, it's all in Chinese, just native apps. So just be aware. And you could turn that off easily. I think you go to a home screen and go down to quick glance. Just turn that off. Just save your battery, and the left side screen won't be there. Now you can set up Gemini and stuff like that on your phone, but I'm sure there are ways there are apps that you could use to set up shortcuts and things like that. So you can use Gemini, but if you still press that button, it's going to pop up there unless you install an app. And I've kind of covered that in the Vivo. There's an app called Me CTS that you can use to use your circular search, your like the Google app, the Google circular search. You can set that up, but I haven't tried it on this phone. I have it set up and running smoothly on my X200. My Vivo X200. Actually, right there, I'll show you because I just fired this phone back up, and by default, let's see. Let me get away from the screen a little bit. If I long press, you see Google circular search comes up. So I do have a video on that, and I may try to pop it up there in the corner somewhere. There, maybe up there. But yeah. But enough of that. Moving on. I mentioned battery earlier, and I just want to show you guys really quickly. So I'm at 82% right now. You can see it can last. It still says it can last about 1 day, 11 hours. That's insane. So I don't know why it's showing my screen on time is 1 hour 39 minutes. I'm still working on that. I don't understand how their stats work on here, but you can see used since last charge 15 hours and 9 minutes. This battery is insane. I mean, it's just so good. I mean, what milliamp hour is this battery? Does it show it in the about? Cause that battery is insane. Oh, and speaking of battery, the charging is 80-watt Super VOOC and 50-watt Air. So 80 watt plugged in, 50-watt wireless on a budget device. And did I mention that I got this phone for $5.99. I imported it, and it, with taxes and everything, it ended up being 600 and some change. Let me look that up really quickly. No, I stand corrected. I actually got this phone for $555.20, and with taxes and everything, it was 606.55. That's, I mean, these days that's really good, and for the quality that you get with this phone, I mean, come on. But anyway, the screen is plenty bright. You won't have any issue seeing the screen in broad daylight, in direct sunlight. I've had no issues. I've used it outside and I can see it clearly. Now, I will say that just like any screen, the fingerprints build up quickly. And, you know, that does impact the visibility when you're in sunlight a little bit. But I just wipe that bad boy off, rub it on my shirt, and move on. Uh, Now, I do not know the quoted brightness, peak brightness on this phone, but nor do I care. Those numbers don't matter to me because they always say them, and then a YouTuber have their tool point at their screen and turn the brightness up, or make it turn max or whatever, and it doesn't hit those numbers. So those numbers I don't particularly care about. I care about whether I can see the screen in the sun or not, and this one you can. It's very bright and it's lovely. Actually, where is my M5 is over there. I was going to compare it. Actually, let me grab it. 1 second. So here's my M5. Let's put that down. Let's do this. I'm going to turn the brightness all the way up. And look at that. You can see that difference. The brightness is peak on both of them. And which one is brighter to you? Now, I do understand that I do have a brighter wallpaper on here. And what I'll do is, let's change that. Let's pick a dark wallpaper. Let's see. They're both ColorOS, so we should have the exact same wallpaper on both. Look at that. You could tell that the Oppo Find X8 is brighter, clearly. I mean, I I know you guys are looking at it, but I really hope that this shows up on camera towards the end. But anyway, just want to see that brightness comparison. The Find X5, it doesn't get super bright, but I will say, gladly they put some anti-reflective coating on here, and that helps a lot. Like you can actually see that difference. You see that light and then you see how it looks on here. You see it's duller because of that coating they put on there. But this is not an N5 review. Moving on. We're going to move on into the camera. And I've taken a few photos with this. I had to clean them up a little bit because it was just pulling in photos from all of my other phones. So forgive me if it doesn't look like a lot of photos here. But I did take a few. This one I'm going to pop up on the screen. What I did was I was rolling in my car down the road. And I just pointed the phone. I didn't even look at what I was taking. I just pointed the phone to my side and took a picture real quick. And this picture actually came out fairly brilliant outside of the glare that you see around the sun. I don't know why I picked that up, but everything around it, even when you zoom in, just came out so crisp. Now I know it is well lit out there because the sun is just coming up. But that picture I was really impressed with that. So moving on, I just went to my backyard and snapped some photos. My neighbor is working on a chair out there, and the photos are really nice. Like I said, consistent. In the beginning, I said it's consistent. And I was just testing out, just taking a few photos. And what I started doing was testing out the zoom. So I think this one is the ultra wide, if I'm not mistaken. This one is the ultra wide. And then I just did regular. And I could tell, like, I know around the edges on ultra wide photos, you can tell that they don't have as much detail, but this one actually does really well. And I think that's due to that 50 megapixel sensor that it has. But then we move on, and we're gonna go over to next. This is regular, just a nice, just well detailed photo. Not the best scenery, but I mean, still gets the job done. And I just started testing out the zoom. So I think this was 3 times. And it just holds the detail so well. Look at that. You can zoom in and it still has that detail there. And then zoomed in some more. Look at that. I mean, this camera system, I can't stress it enough. It's just really good. And I'm gonna pop the zoom, the times up there, how much we've zoomed in on each photo because I can't remember at which uh, setting I was at, which range I was at. But yeah, look at that. Just it holds details so well. Now I will say at a certain point, actually I'll show you that really quickly. Once you start zooming in, at a certain point, what'll happen is you you see like a little AI icon to pop up there, and you can turn it on and off on this device. Some phones do not allow you to turn AI on and off, and I just like to have the choice. Now I will say that AI typically will create the better picture, but I just like to have that option. We pay for these phones and we pay top dollar for these phones. Even for budget phones, the budget phones are actually expensive now. I remember when they were like $200-300. But anyway, there's AI, and we're gonna jump back into photos. Let's go back, and you could tell actually that those are my macro shots. I'll touch on those in just a moment, but you could tell that the AI starts to kick in quite a bit once you get to a certain zoom range, and you can see like these wood panels or wood planks look really smoothed out because it's missing information that it's trying to fill in, but it just really smooths it out, and it starts to lack detail. But you can see like this tree stump here. You can tell it's really AI. It looks real, like the AI is on there heavily. But there's just something to be aware of. You do have a choice when you take these photos. I mean, and nobody's zooming this far. On a typical photo on a regular day, most people are just pointing and shooting, or they have their scene lined up. They're not just pointing and saying, "Hey, let me zoom in as far as I can to this." Nobody really does that. So, I mean, just keep that in mind. This phone will output really good results. And now at the $600 mark, it actually does have a really good macro photo system on it. So let's show that. So this phone, let me show you an example. Actually, I think I just do it with my desk and it won't freak out. So you see how close I am to the desk? It brings up a little macro icon there. I think that one is using a different sensor from what the actual super macro will use. So if you turn on the actual super macro, you get much more detail, and that's what I'm about to show you in these photos here. So you can tell there's nice detail there, but when you use the super macro, you see how it pulls out so much more detail. Look at that, so much more detail with the super macro. And I don't know why it doesn't just go into the super macro mode as opposed to just having two different variations. It's so odd to me. Like here I am. Let me go back to one and then get close and see. It brings it. I'm not. I need to research it a little more to understand that, but I just don't understand why they went that route. I don't know. I don't understand why they have two different modes on here when this is the one you really need to have. I feel like you really need to have, and it pulls out so much more detail. Really odd choice. And I'll show you a couple more. Like this one is the mode that uh turns on automatically, but if I go back and turn it on manually with the button I used up top, it pulls out so much more detail. Look at that. I just don't understand. That was a weird choice to me. But anyway, the cameras are really consistent, really good. I did so. I was the other reason I don't have a lot of photos on this phone is because I had to wipe it recently because I was troubleshooting. One day I had my AT&T SIM card in here and it was working fine, but I switched phones a lot, and I don't know if my carrier got freaked out that I was switching phones so much. And they one day I put my card back in here a few days ago, and I could not make phone calls. I could send texts, I could use the data, but I could not make phone calls, and it was just weird. So I had to switch to my other. I was going through my troubleshooting process. I wiped the phone and blah blah blah, And I finally just put my other SIM card in here, and it works. I can make calls and everything. And that is the SIM card that I'm using with US Mobile. The service that I'm using is called Lightspeed, which relies on T-Mobile towers, and I'm getting 5G, and I get really good 5G on this phone when I'm outside. Now, I think that due to missing bands, I do have 5G on here, and it's showing right now, but when I'm inside, it's not as super fast as it would be as if I were outside, and I think it's just due to those missing bands on here. Now, when I'm inside, it doesn't bother me as much because I'm always on Wi-Fi anyway while I'm inside, so yeah, it doesn't bother me. But just want to let you guys know I have US Mobile and I have the Lightspeed on there, and they have a couple of. They have one called Dark Star, which relies on AT&T towers. So the beauty of US Mobile is you could use. They have a few different options, and you can switch back and forth between them based on whatever service that you feel like you would need based on the part of the country you're in. Like if you're in a part of the country and you're not getting 5G on one service, you can go into the app and switch over. Now it does take a few minutes for it to activate, but I think that's really cool. But yeah, let me see. I touched on cameras, I've touched on battery, software, so on and so forth. Build quality, lovely. Yeah, this is an overall solid phone. I have no complaints whatsoever. The OS is so crisp, so smooth. Actually, I want to do this live. I want to see if you can multitask on this phone. So I have YouTube open here. All right, so I never really multitask on these devices, but we have YouTube here, and we're gonna go. Hold on, what was that? Split view. There it is. Split view, and we can do threads. Look at that. You can multitask on here as well. You don't get a lot of real estate. Let's see if it rotates for you as well. Nice. Okay. So look at that. You can multitask. All right. Give me 1 second. We're going to come back with the wrap up. All right, guys. Operating off one memory card in your camera is insanity. And I need to get a huge one. But anyway, to wrap up this review, I absolutely adore this phone. Oppo is doing really good things from the Find N5 to their budget devices, the Find X8, and I'm sure the Find X8 Pro is just insane, but pockets won't allow for that one. But anyway, this is a easy device, once again, to recommend to anybody if you want to set it up. Now, I do think that one day I may have to go through a setup process on this phone. I'm not sure if I did that on the Find N5, but yeah, I think because there's a lot of cleanup and just stuff you need to get rid of on this phone, but you don't want to delete certain apps because they do have some uses sometimes, like your themes app or so on and so forth. You don't want to delete those unless you just don't plan on downloading any things. But you do need the themes app when it comes to like just changing your themes, I believe. Like if I go here and then I go to more themes, I think it does open it up that themes app, and you do need that. So I may go through that one day, but either way, it works. It does work with AT&T. I think mine freaked out because I was switching phones so often and made my carrier get an alert or something. I need to call them and fix that. But it does work with AT&T. It did for a while, and it does work with US Mobile, their Lightspeed, which relies on T-Mobile towers. Just great device, y'all. Easy to recommend, and I hope that I covered everything that you guys were expecting. If I missed anything, feel free to drop a comment, and I'll drop a quick video for you. I'm also working on my memberships, like the perks of being a member of the channel and supporting the channel and helping me grab these phones to review for you guys. So I'm just working on it. Just some future stuff that I'm trying to put together. Memberships are active right now, but I want to add more perks, make it more worth it. So more to come. Anyway, appreciate you guys tuning in. Feel free to like and subscribe if you made it this far, and support the channel and tune in for more content like this. All right, I will catch y'all later.